Excuse me. Oh, wait, oh, wait. Oh, wait, y'all. Oh, wait, oh, wait. What is that? What's that one? What's the other one? Let's get into it. What's really going on? Mm, 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 mm. Baby, I don't know if y'all have seen these little cherry plums. Have y'all seen, hey, Vicky, have y'all seen them cherry plums? Baby. Huh? Can y'all? Dang, how I got it. Can y'all see that? See, I'm trying to see. Baby, these little cherry plums. Let me say this. If you got anything that ain't been able to come out, eat you a few of these little cherry plums. Baby, you ain't gonna have no problem. And they good too. I wonder if I need to grow these bad babies. Come on in, y'all. Let's talk about what's going on. It's been a whole bunch of telling and a whole bunch of snitching going. Whole bunch of please get me out of jail. I gotta go, but no issues. I gotta go. I gotta get up out of here. Quick. They saying he wasn't a mastermind. He still don't want to give up Gotti, do it. He still don't want to give up Gotti. Baby, when I tell you he don't want to give up Gotti, they say quit the mastermind. Not quit, Big Juke, the one who's gone. Oh, well, baby, you should have been, you should have been telling that a long time ago. What did you need? Why I want this stand up? Why you need a private investigator? Hey, Willie Spencer. Who else done came in here? Crystal. Hey, Crystal. Why you didn't say that a long time ago? He been gone. Why you didn't say that a long time ago? Hmm. Hmm. Why you didn't say that a long time ago? Quit. Orange Mind quit. When folk was getting taken out and killed and still, huh? Long live thou. Full, and I absolutely mean full, complete justice for young Adolph Robert Thornton Jr., Dolph, Flipper, Mine. Yeah. Why you didn't say that before? Why you waiting until you can't get no more appeals and motions and please strike that from? Yeah. Huh? Why I don't want to show your picture? Quick. Come on down. Yeah. Now all of a sudden, strike that, motion to remove, all of that going on. And now, it wasn't me. Yeah. It wasn't you. Well, why you not giving up Gotti? Cause one thing is for sure, quit. You had a meeting with Big Juke and Yo Gotti. Did you tell them people that? Did you bring up Gotti? Who else you bring up? Hmm. They should have just left you alone. They should have just left you alone. He don't want that. He don't want that life sentence. He don't want to go to jail. He said, I done gave y'all this, I done gave y'all that, I done told on them, I done told on that. What do I get? What? I still gotta go to jail? I still gotta go to prison? Hmm? What? It wasn't enough. Yeah, you done played in them folk face. You thought you done beat them at their own game. They said, silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids. And when I say he done gave up some people, he done gave up a lot of folks. Y'all come on in, hitting the like button. I ain't finna play with y'all tonight. I've been too busy. So we got him. We got Diddy. Are you tired to Diddy quit? Are you tired to him? You want me to leave you alone? Leave me alone. Then we got these two here. He done sent his dogs to go and talk to her in jail, see what she got going. What can she give me? I need some ammunition. What can you give me? What names? She's saying I got names. I got names to change this whole scenario. Baby, now she don't. Yesterday she reached out to the Supreme Court. Yeah, now all of a sudden today they saying she has agreed to testify with Congress. Then he started saying, yes, I I I will confess we did fall out. We did not fall out over a business deal. Me out bidding him on a house, on a property. Yeah. I know. That's what I said. I know I called him this. I know I called him that. But now I want to say this. Can I change the narrative? Let me change it one more again. Today I want to say, yes, he did steal from me. He did steal the girl. The girl did you. Y'all digging too deep up in my, Lord, y'all going too, oh, Lord. Uh, I'm finna be exposed. Yeah. She did work for you. Yeah. But did y'all fall out right then when she came over there? I told y'all was working together. You had them minors at Lago. Yeah, you saw one that was good and right. Then you sent the Madam Hound Dog. Yeah, to scope her out to see if she'll fit in. And then she laid with the girl. Taught her everything. Taught her how to please a man that really didn't want her. Huh? She was too old for him. Yeah. Then so you made her fool with you first. Yeah. And before you unleashed her to Epstein. All y'all crooked. So they came to your spot. Not only did you hire immigrants, hell, you hired minors. What? Oh, Lord. Yeah. To massage OWMs. Yeah. And then you sent her over there to get them. She taught them how to massage them. And to rub me the right way, stroke. Mm-hmm. And then give them BJs. Yeah. How to eat the twat. You nasty old ham. And you think you should be released from prison. Really? You think that you the scapegoat. Didn't one of them old clowns say that you were a victim? No, you wasn't. You was a groomer. You was a madam. You was old freaky deek. Yeah. But you picked them up from him. What made you confess? Let's dive on in, y'all. We diving inside and talked about quit. Oh, let me talk about Doo Diddy. Baby, y'all can think he wanna get out just because of the treatment up in there. No, he know them cases coming, boo. He know them names are about to be dropped. Why would I have to go so far down and find a good picture of Diddy? Yeah. Oh, doo Diddy. Yeah, somebody on that task. Somebody on that task in prison, baby. They say brain tat ass. Brain that ties. Brain. Yeah, look at you. Looking like, why y'all watching me? AunTeaFee. Why they watching me? Yeah, they got the. I tried to tell them people everybody wasn't applauding you when you won. Everybody was not applauding you. Everybody was not happy for you, Diddy. I tried to tell them that. There's some people in there who didn't take too kindly to you beating on folk, stomping folk out. They want to see what your head. I told you. They called you to the prison yard. Oh, it ain't the prison yet. You ain't trying to go there. Yeah. Did it. I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. I think if they let you out, you ain't ever going back in. You gonna be a Leonardo DiCaprio, whatever y'all do know. I know his name. Yeah. Anyway, you gonna say catch me if you can. You ain't going nowhere. You want them people to let you be? Take my 50 mil. Take it, please. It's getting worse in here. My name is always, they sending me kites. They telling me they coming. They say you a bad boy. We want the bad boy. Yeah. I tried to tell him you wasn't about that life. You was faking and shaking. You went to Catholic school all your life. You was a college boy. What? You went to an all-boy Catholic school. I don't care if you from Harlem. I don't care if you from the Bronx. I don't care where you're from. I don't care nothing about none of that. You went to a private school all your life. Yeah, I know your daddy. Yeah, I know who your mama was. I know all of that. But just cause they was bad don't mean hell your ass was bad. But you bad. But you wasn't prison bad. You ain't jail bad. Now you want out. You can't handle it. Let's listen, y'all. Let's listen to what's really going on. What's going on? AunTeaFee, you laughing at Diddy? Sure is. Wasn't he laughing at all them people that he was fooling around with? You know, urinating all in their mouth and doing all that crazy stuff. Yeah, don't be scared and cry now. Man up. Man up. You done played in everybody's face. You had everybody thinking that you was the bad. You was nothing you can't do. Well, sit on down and sit on down and sit your time out. If it ain't nothing you can't do, yeah, sit on down. Take the time. Stop whining, crying. Every time you turn around, you whining and crying. Whining and crying. You crying and whining. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see where we gonna start this evening. It's nighttime. Y'all come on in. Hitting the like button. Come on in, hitting the like button. Gaslight the American people with. Nah, I ain't going for no gaslight. Let me see. Oh, girl. Oh, Donald Trump is confessing. Do y'all want to hear that Donald Trump confession? This is my confession. Ghislaine Maxwell is talking to them folk. Yeah, now you want to tell. Ain't that nothing? Ain't that nothing? Epstein stole her. Epstein. Trump says Epstein stole her. Can y'all believe that? He stole her.
Joining us here this evening, I'm your host, Mike Page, always with you, bringing you the day's biggest top stories and headlines. I want to take you now inside Air Force One earlier today.
Hold on, let me come back.
Donald Trump finally confesses to knowing about Jeffrey Epstein's terrible transgression, stealing one of Trump's employees. This is just another day.
Let's go.
After months and months of getting berated with questions about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, today Donald Trump finally got a brief respite, the way all sitting presidents of the United States do.
Trump International, we have the first course, which we call the old course, and the second
And
course,
he was cheating on the
call
golf
new
course.
Because that's the best way to describe.
He cheated everything.
Anything else gets too complicated.
That's right, by engaging in a ribbon-cutting ceremony for his own golf course. Because nothing creates more distance in people's minds between you and a pedophile billionaire who owns his own island than promoting a luxury golf resort also on an island. I have to say, it takes massive balls, and not the kind you hit with a club, to claim that there is no conflict of interest here. Not only are you using taxpayer dollars to fund your trip to this ribbon-cutting ceremony, but you're using the official White House page to promote it. I'm surprised Trump doesn't make Air Force One fly with a sky banner. What is crystal clear, yet not surprising at all, is that being on an exclusive golf resort without a poor person in sight is Donald Trump's happy place. Or, as Eric would describe it,
This was his Mona Lisa.
that's right, because there's nothing that Donald Trump is used to more than a woman with her arms crossed giving him an uncomfortably fake smile. Here's how you know Donald Trump was in pure heaven.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you to the media. The media's been terrific, believe it or not. I didn't use the word fake news one time, not one time. Today they're not fake news. Today they're wonderful news.
You see that? All it takes for Trump to respect the press is to have them relegated to merely golf resort-based questions. Is that so hard? Well, unfortunately, it is, because only hours later, Trump's honeymoon was over.
Epstein has a certain reputation, obviously. I'm just curious, were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Some of them.
Were some of them young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Wow. Apparently you don't need any fancy enhanced interrogation techniques to pry information out of Donald Trump. All it takes is about 10 seconds and a microphone in front of his face for him to completely break and admit that he employed minors at his Mar-a-Lago spa, which he wants you to know is not some shabby, run-of-the-mill minor employing spa either.
In the spa. Yeah, people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa.
Look, I know they're not supposed to be surprised
hold on.
by anything Trump does anymore, but come
So
One of the best spas in the world.
So he said, so people. So not just one. People were taken out of the spa. So you had all these minors. Because all they wanted was minors. At the spa. Why were you hiring minors? More than one, y'all. Peep that. Listen what you good here.
World at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa.
Look, I know that we're not supposed to be surprised by anything Trump does anymore, but come on, man. The guy is being questioned about his relationship and possible involvement with one of the most depraved and sadistic human beings on the planet. Sorry, Stephen, you'll get there one day. And he can't help himself from squeezing in a plug for his spa? How much less tact can this guy have? I wouldn't be surprised if the next time he addresses the recent shooting in Manhattan, he mentions that the gunman would never have done such a thing at Trump Tower because who could be violent amid such opulence. Even more shocking than what Trump said was the fact
Jonathan
that he
Bundy.
could not stop talking.
Other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told them, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine. And then not too long after that, he did it again. And I said, out of here.
Gotta love where Trump draws the line on terrible behavior. Trump's red line when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein is that he poached members of his staff. Just to remind you, in 2002, Trump said, I've known Jeff for 15 years, terrific guy, Trump booms from a speakerphone. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life. Again, that quote is from 2002, 1 year after Jeffrey Epstein first trafficked Donald Trump's employee, Virginia Giuffre, with the help of Ghislaine Maxwell, who...
I just wish her well, frankly.
Yeah, he wished that woman well. And if you're wondering whether Donald Trump knew that he was employing a minor in a spa that was frequented by a guy who liked women on the younger side...
Did one of those stolen, persons that include Virginia Giuffre?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa.
Yeah, he know.
I think so. I think that was one of the people. He stole her.
Donald Trump knew.
So y'all do know he's been forced to come on clean. Y'all do know that after they found out what all she knew, that he was forced to come clean. Okay, that should be clear.
Two things to be true about Jeffrey Epstein. He liked young women, and he liked to poach employees, yet only one of those is a friendship-ending offense. The reality is, while we may have seen two versions of our president today, both versions include a dishonest man more than happy to exploit society's most vulnerable to get what he wants. From the disabled senior on Medicaid to the 16-year-old girl being trafficked to a pedophile. And this has been a core component of Donald Trump for decades. He is a rich asshole who pretends that he's a man of the people.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody who's coming in, please come in, hit the like button.
Number one weight loss medication. Everybody has eggs now. They're having eggs for breakfast again. Maybe the children will have $2.
And he liked to poach employees.
At the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. He stole her.
Donald Trump knew
he has made an about face.
Persons that include Virginia Giuffre?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people.
Oh my God. What happened overnight?
Donald Trump knew two things to be true about Jeffrey Epstein. He liked young women, and he liked to poach employees, yet only one of those is a friendship-ending offense. The reality is, while we may have seen two versions of our president today, both versions include a dishonest man more than happy to exploit society's most vulnerable to get what he wants. From the disabled senior on Medicaid to the 16-year-old girl being trafficked to a pedophile. And this has been a core component of Donald Trump for decades. He is a rich asshole who pretends that he's a man of the people.
Everybody has eggs now. They're having eggs for breakfast again. Maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30.
It's such an old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term, groceries.
If aliens landed on our planet and we had one shot to explain to them what a rich person attempting relatability looked like, that is what we'd show them. A man fascinated with the word groceries. And by the way, if those aliens had giant green heads and oozing scaly skin but still looked like they might be under 18, guess who's making himself captain of the welcoming committee? The reality is, Donald Trump only cares about wealth. But telling people that is not a winning campaign platform. You can't traverse the country telling voters how you're going to take Medicaid away from 17 million Americans so billionaires can get a little tax cut. You can't say you're going to cut food assistance programs from millions of people while simultaneously raking in cash from shadowy crypto dinners. Nor can you say that if women are being exploited, you won't do anything about it unless it hurts your business. So instead of saying all those very true things, Donald Trump hit the trails with some. It's more distance in people's minds between you and a pedophile amid such opulence. Even more shocking than what Trump said was the fact that he could not stop talking.
Other people would come and complain, this guy is
hey, Big Trap.
people from the
Hey,
spa.
Trap.
And then when I heard about it, I told them, I said,
Big Trap. Trap, you were never blocked. Y'all shout out to Big Trap, not the little one. That's Trap. Big Trap. Who else done fell up in here I didn't see? Uh, uh, oh yeah, now you can't use that D word. Hey y'all, hey Lisa, hey Kay, hey everybody, hey Big Pressure, hey, greetings, hey, let's go.
Listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine. And
Okay, so you're not gonna say we don't want them taking people and then uh, trafficking them, and that ain't when you kick them to the curb. You was still kicking it with them after that, right? Let's go.
then not too long after that, he did it again. And I said, out of here.
Gotta love where Trump draws the line on terrible behavior. Trump's red line when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein is that he poached members of his staff. Just to remind you, in 2002, Trump said, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy," Trump booms from a speakerphone. "He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life." Again, that quote is from 2002, 1 year after Jeffrey Epstein first trafficked Donald Trump's employee, Virginia Giuffre, with the help of Ghislaine Maxwell, who...
I just wish her well, frankly.
Yeah, he wished that woman well. And if you're wondering whether Donald Trump knew that he was employing a minor in a spa that was frequented by a guy who liked women on the younger side...
Did one of those stolen, persons that include Virginia Giuffre?
I don't know.
Stop lying.
I think she worked at the spa.
You know she did. So
I
how?
think so.
So how you didn't know? First off, I don't know. That's your first go to. Then now, oh, I think she worked for the spa. Huh? Now, if you gonna know, no. If you gonna play dumb, play dumb. But don't do them both. Why? He didn't report it. Exactly. Yeah, because he found out his not only did old girl have his name on the list, now she reached out to the Supreme Court and and they was going to pull records, pull the audio and the video. They was finna go above and beyond. That's why Diddy popped out with them eyes, baby. Let's be clear. Cause didn't Trump say that Russell Simmons and Diddy, anytime they they wanted to do parties at Mar-Lago, Mar-Lago, yeah, the same spot. If digging a ditch for somebody else and you fall slap dead up in there, yeah, did you dig too?
One of the people, yeah. He stole her.
Donald Trump knew two things to be true
That
about
memory
Jeffrey
came
Epstein.
back, didn't
He
it?
liked young women, and he liked to poach employees, yet only one of those is a friendship-ending offense. The reality is, while we may have seen two versions of our president today, both versions include a dishonest man more than happy to exploit society's most vulnerable to get what he wants.
Cheating on the
From
golf
the
course.
disabled senior on Medicaid to the 16-year-old girl being trafficked to a pedophile. And this has been a core component of Donald Trump for decades. He is a rich asshole who pretends that he's a man of the people.
Everybody has eggs now. They're having eggs for breakfast again. Maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30. It's such an old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term, groceries.
If aliens landed on our planet and we had one shot to explain to them what a rich person attempting relatability looked like, that is what we'd show them. A man fascinated with the word groceries. And by the way, if those aliens had giant green heads and oozing scaly skin but still looked like they might be under 18, guess who's making himself captain of the welcoming committee? The reality is, Donald Trump only cares about wealth. But telling people that is not a winning campaign platform. You can't traverse the country telling voters how you're going to take Medicaid away from 17 million Americans so billionaires can get a little tax cut. You can't say you're going to cut food assistance programs from millions of people while simultaneously raking in cash from shadowy crypto dinners. Nor can you say that if women are being exploited, you won't do anything about it unless it hurts your business. So instead of saying all those very true things, Donald Trump hit the trails with stuff like this.
We're going to win so much, You may even get tired of winning. We will make America great again. We will stand bravely. We will live proudly.
We will make America great again by putting our hands in y'all little girls. Remember, you said that they've been doing that for millions of years. So your idea of making America great again is aping. Is that what you're telling the American people? Yeah. You came clean today because you had no trust. But you got to come cleaner than that. You got to come cleaner than that. Yes, sir. How do you clean up this mess? I don't know. Hell, he ain't good at cleaning it up. He had it in the front. So I don't know. I don't know how you boo-boo in the front, but let's go.
Great again. We will stand bravely. We will live proudly. We will dream boldly. And nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours.
All of those slogans are vague by design. Designed to exploit and prey upon the most vulnerable in our nation. Because you can't call Trump a liar if he never really said anything to begin with. Whether Donald Trump was actually involved in nefarious behavior with Jeffrey Epstein remains to be seen, and not releasing that list isn't making his case any stronger. But what is certifiably true is that Donald Trump is willing to dodge any responsibility by any means necessary as long as he's able to keep being the rich guy. You can call him names, accuse him of subverting the Constitution, and deride him for even floating the idea of pardoning a woman who helps sex traffic minors. But if you even dare endanger one of his business opportunities,
out of here.
Hold that thought. Boom, 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 boom. Oh yes. Oh yes. What did he make urgent demands? Oh yeah, we gonna talk about. Okay, hold on. Congress issues immediate response to. Okay, we gonna check that one out too. Let's see. Bureau of Prison drops surprise Epstein bomb on Trump. Oh, we gotta go there. That's a surprise bomb. He dropped the bomb on you, Trumpy. He dropped the bomb on you.
the Bureau of Prisons just dropped a
He
surprise
dropped the
Epstein
bomb
bomb.
on
Avalon with
you.
Occupy Democrats. Welcome back to another video. And don't forget to hit that like button if you also agree it's time for Donald Trump to go. Now, of course, this Epstein thing
Hold
has been a
on.
total nightmare for Donald Trump, and it's a nightmare he just cannot wake up from. Trump has been left in a total
He
panic,
dropped the
and it's simply
bomb
because
on you.
Trump is selfish.
It is clear that Donald Trump is panicked. It is clear that they are going to try to figure out a way to dig themselves out of this hole.
Hold
They
on.
don't know how,
Y'all,
but
I'm
they're going to try to
spinning.
figure out a way.
Oh my
I don't
goodness.
think they're going
Hold
to
on.
succeed, and here's why. There's a very, very simple narrative to what they could do to put this to rest.
Can y'all
And it
hear?
doesn't
Am I
involve
back or am I still spinning?
Todd Blanche going to interview Maxwell in a prison. It doesn't involve, grand jury rules and all that. All they have to do is
Am I
release the Epstein
spinning?
files. They collected
Can y'all hear me?
thousands
Am I
upon thousands,
spinning?
hundreds of thousands, I suspect, of
Congress needs.
documents. They conducted hundreds, I suspect, maybe thousands of witness interviews that are not grand jury materials. These are not in the grand jury. These are FBI interviews. These are FBI notes. I also suspect there are various FBI compilations.
Hold on.
In today's breaking story, the Bureau of Prisons just dropped a surprise Epstein bomb on Donald Trump. That's right. If Donald Trump thought maybe he could catch a break over the weekend, he was wrong. This Epstein thing is not going away. How's it going? My name is Hunter Avalon with Occupy Democrats. Welcome back to another video, and don't forget to hit that like button if you also agree it's time for Donald Trump to go. Now, of course, this Epstein thing has been a total nightmare for Donald Trump, and it's a nightmare he just cannot wake up from. Trump has been left in a total panic, and it's simply because Trump is selfish.
It is clear that Donald Trump is panicked. It is clear that they are going to try to figure out a way to dig themselves out of this hole. They don't know how, but they're going to try to figure out a way. I don't think they're going to succeed, and here's why. There's a very, very simple narrative to what they could do to put this to rest. And it doesn't involve Todd Blanche going to interview Maxwell in a prison. It doesn't involve, grand jury rules and all that. All they have to do is release the Epstein files.
That's it.
They collected thousands upon thousands, hundreds of thousands, I suspect, of documents. They conducted hundreds, I suspect, maybe thousands of witness interviews that are not grand jury materials. These are not in the grand jury. These are FBI interviews. These are FBI notes. I also suspect there are various FBI compilation documents, spreadsheets that they prepared with names of people who were mentioned by various people, by what various documents show. Those documents can be redacted to remove the names of the victims, the women who were exploited, and then released. And then this would all be solved for Donald Trump, except we all know it wouldn't be solved for Donald Trump. It would probably make his political situation worse because of what's probably in those files. The simplest reason why Donald Trump does not want these files released is because Donald Trump is selfish. He knows what's in them, probably better than you or I or anyone else. And he's afraid.
Maxwell must
that's probably why Trump is busy focusing on the real issues like windmills.
They have to stop windmills all over the place. So you go around, you look at these beautiful valleys and beautiful hills and mountains, and you got windmills all over the place.
Well, you were playing golf, weren't you, on this beautiful golf course in Western Scotland? And what happened at the 18th hole?
Well, I'm looking down the 18th hole, and Turnberry's, I think, probably the best course in the world. It's considered that by many people. And it's like
by many
Open
people.
Championships, etc. And I'm looking down, and in the distance, and it's a pretty far distance, but it doesn't matter. These things are massive, and you're looking at these ugly windmills, and it's a shame. It's really a shame. It's really hurting. It's a con job saying the environmentalists want it because.
It's absolutely bizarre to me how weirdly obsessed Trump is with windmills until I realized the reason he hates windmills may not actually be that surprising. It's because Trump is selfish. Windmills, even for a short and temporary time, do decrease real estate property values.
It ruins the look. They're noisy. If you see them from your house is worth like 50% or more or less.
But now the Bureau of Prisons has just dropped a surprise Epstein bomb on Donald Trump. That's right, take a look at today's top story. The Epstein scandal just took another wild turn, and this time, the Bureau of Prisons just dropped a bomb on Donald Trump's administration. For weeks, the Department of Justice claimed they had released the full raw footage from the night Jeffrey Epstein died. That tape was supposed to silence conspiracy theories. Instead, it fueled them. Why? Because it was missing a minute. Just one missing minute, they said. A harmless system reset. Now we know that was a lie. According to a new CBS report, forensic analysis shows that video was not missing 1 minute, but 3. And now the FBI admits they're holding on to a separate, unreleased version, one that includes the so-called missing minute. It's real. It exists,
real, y'all.
and they haven't shown it to the public. So let's be clear, the bombshell is this. First, they said it was the complete footage. Then it turned out it had a missing minute. Now we know it's missing 3 minutes. And worst of all, the government had the real version the whole time and chose to hide it. This revelation demolishes the DOJ's credibility and raises serious questions about what's on that footage. Epstein died in a high-security federal facility. The cameras outside his cell mysteriously malfunctioned. And the footage that was released has now been proven to be edited. Attorney General Pam Bondi claimed it was just a nightly reset, but surveillance experts say that's nonsense. And journalist Julie K. Brown, who originally exposed Epstein, confirmed that multiple entrances to Epstein's cell were not shown in the video. This is no longer a conspiracy theory. This is a cover-up, and it's happening under Donald Trump's administration, the same administration that promised transparency and answers. Instead, the FBI is sitting on the real footage, and the public still doesn't know if anyone walked into that cell.
Maxwell
at the end of the day, I have no clue why these idiots at the DOJ, with the FBI,
it's time for him to
why
go.
are they treating us all like we're children? We're not tiny.
Like we slow to the party.
Attorney version, one that includes the so-called missing minute. It's real. It exists, and they haven't shown it to the public. So let's be clear, the bombshell is this. First, they said it was the complete footage. Then it turned out it had a missing minute. Now we know it's missing 3 minutes. And worst of all, the government had the real version
They
the whole
had
time
the real
and
version the
chose to
whole
hide it.
time, and they
This
played in our
revelation
face.
demolishes the
Let me stop
DOJ's
with this.
credibility
With this.
and raises serious questions about
Why
what's
is his
on that
mouth
footage.
wide open?
Epstein died
Our mouth should be wide open the way
the
he
whole
played in
time
our
and
face
chose to hide
the
it. This
whole time.
revelation
Right here, stop,
demolishes the
pause.
DOJ.
How dare you? How dare you have your mouth open like you surprised? You done played in the U.S., the American people's face this whole time, you loser. You pedo loser. Playing with people's kids, people's money. Now you playing with the seniors. Playing with Medicare. You had to be stopped. They need to throw away the key. You need to be in there where you really need to be where Epstein is. But hell, you may have moved and we don't know. He may be alive. You know what I mean? Y'all, we need to see it. Now we finding out y'all been knowing. You just played in our face and you had a nerve to open up your mouth like, what are y'all doing to me? Oh my God. I can't put it on Obama. I can't put it on Hillary. I can't. Please believe me. Clown. He a clown.
Credibility and raises serious questions about what's on that footage. Epstein died in a high-security federal facility. The cameras outside his cell mysteriously malfunctioned, and the footage that was released has now been proven to be edited. Attorney General Pam Bondi claimed it was just a nightly reset, but surveillance experts say that's nonsense. And journalist Julie K. Brown, who originally exposed Epstein, confirmed that multiple entrances to Epstein's cell were not shown in the video. This is no longer a conspiracy theory. This is a cover-up, and it's happening under Donald Trump's administration, the same administration that promised transparency and answers. Instead, the FBI is sitting on the real footage, and the public still doesn't know if anyone walked into that cell. Yeah, at the end of the day, I have no clue why these idiots at the DOJ with the FBI, why are they treating us all like we're children? We're not tiny babies waddling around in diapers. We're big boys, okay? We're grown-ups. We can handle whatever information you're trying to hide from us. To be honest, it really just seems like Trump is afraid for us to find out what kind of information is being hidden.
Okay. Whew. Yeah, we all find it funny.
I've got to share this. You can get...
Hold on, y'all. Let's go over here. Let's go over here. Let's see what CNN saying. Hold on. Let's go. It's coming out. But y'all do know he don't want that list coming out.
Trump talks publicly about one of Epstein's most prominent accusers, giving new details tonight as to why his relationship with
Now, and mind
Epstein
you, this
ended.
woman had to take her own life, they say. And now he wants to admit it. You know what I mean? This woman had to lose her life. He ain't had nothing to say about this lady losing her life. But let's go.
He took people, and because he took people, I said, don't do it anymore. You know, they work for me. And he took...
Minors.
Beyond that, he took some others. And once he did that, that was the end of him. I didn't like... When they steal people, I don't like it.
When they steal people.
Trump was then asked
He steal
if
from
one
us.
of those people that Epstein stole
He steal from us.
was an underage girl at the core of the Epstein case, Virginia Giuffre. She was one of the most outspoken Epstein accusers, and she worked at the spa at Trump's Mar-a-Lago before Epstein hired her.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen, persons that include Virginia Giuffre?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know. So,
That's true.
Trump saying
So
Giuffre had no
he just not
complaints about
saying
her
that
time at
because they
Mar-a-Lago.
done went
Of
over
course,
everything that
she
woman
recently
said. She
died by
did. She
suicide
didn't
after
have
a
nothing
life
negative to
recovering
say
from
about
what
him.
happened
That's
to her
true.
with Jeffrey Epstein. Giuffre publicly alleged that Epstein trafficked her and forced her to have sex with his friends when she was 17 years old. According to the court document filed by Giuffre in her civil lawsuit against Maxwell, this is the document here, Jeffrey claimed that Maxwell, quote, approached Ms. Jeffrey while Ms. Jeffrey was an underage minor working at the Mar-a-Lago Country Club, recruited the then minor Ms. Jeffrey to go to the house of Jeffrey Epstein. Later on in the court document, it notes Jeffrey was taken on Epstein's private planes on numerous occasions and trafficked nationally and internationally for the purpose of servicing Epstein and others, including Maxwell, sexually. Now, the court document notes that Jeffrey was 16 or 17 at the time. Now, of course, among those Jeffrey accused was Prince Andrew. The infamous photo you see there of Jeffrey, Prince Andrew, and Ghislaine Maxwell was taken around that time. Prince Andrew paid Jeffrey a settlement. Queen Elizabeth stripped her son of his royal standing and military titles as a result of the Epstein affair, even though he has repeatedly denied Jeffrey's accusations. But again, Jeffrey died by suicide just 3 months ago because of what unfolded in her life. She died just in April. So it is fair to expect that Trump would very clearly know, in the context of her death and all of the Prince Andrew coverage, that her central role in the Epstein case, whether she was one of the employees Epstein stole from him. Not, as Trump said today, quote, I don't know, I think she worked at the spa, before eventually backing his way into, yeah, he stole her. Trump is continuing to muddy the waters, and of course he could change all of this. He could release the Epstein files. He could fight tooth and nail against redactions of the men's names in there for full transparency. But that is not how he's handling it so far. He had first tried to say that the reason for his falling out with Epstein, with whom he spent a lot of time, didn't matter.
Oh, at first it was over.
I did have a falling out a long time ago.
Over a bid of a property.
The reason doesn't make any difference.
Well, that was then. Now he says that there is a reason, and it was because Epstein took Trump's employees. Okay, but on that very basic point, there is something that just doesn't add up that is worth mentioning right now. So, see, Epstein took, as Trump says, the 16 or 17-year-old Jeffrey from Trump's spa in the year 2000. So if that is why Trump ended his relationship with Epstein, then that relationship would have ended in the year 2000, except it didn't.
Right.
In 2002, Trump told New York Magazine, and you remember this, he said, I've known Jeff for 15 years, terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life. I mean, again, that comment, including the comment about younger side, was said about Epstein 2 years after Epstein took the underage Jeffrey from Mar-a-Lago. So something doesn't add up. And at a time when Trump's base is demanding transparency, Trump's explanations up to this point have been anything but.
Y'all, come on, let's hit the like button, double tap your screen.
Tonight. And Elena, I know you've been talking to your sources there. What are you learning tonight?
Yeah, well, one thing, Aaron, about all of this is that the White House, and this is from my conversations even just from moments ago when I was catching up with a White House official, they are acutely aware and very closely tracking all of the attention this is getting. And it's not just the president's team and top advisors that are closely tracking this. It's the president himself. He is very keenly aware, I'm told, of all of the attention that this Epstein case is getting, how his administration is handling it, but also how it's playing. And so that's also, I think, just, behind the scenes kind of influencing some of what we're hearing from the president. Now, I will say the White House does feel like this story has largely died down, particularly from its fever pitch, where it was dominating every single hour and every comment and question that the president was getting. But they also recognize that this is going to come up again. When I talked to sources about what we were hearing from Ghislaine Maxwell's attorneys today, they said, look, we know that when the subpoena comes back, when the House is back in session, this is all going to come up again. And so they are strategizing behind the scenes about how to ultimately try and deal with this. Of course, it's been now a month, the majority of a month, that we've seen this really ongoing, but they're still trying to formulate what that response is going to look like. Now, I will say as well, in some of my conversations, a lot of people here at the White House, and essentially all of these conversations I'm having with Trump administration officials, they do believe that the steps that the administration has taken thus far, in the president directing the Attorney General to unseal some of the grand jury testimony, I'd note that that is unlikely to be decided until the end of August, but then also, of course, the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche interviewing Ghislaine Maxwell over a period of 2 days. They think those are steps in the right direction, because the goal as of now is to try and show as much transparency as they can, and also to try and dispute some of what was laid out in that memo from the Justice Department, which was that this was case closed. Clearly, the case isn't closed, but we're still waiting to see exactly what that looks like, Aaron.
All right, Elena, thank you very much. And now with me, Barry Levine, author of Spider, Inside the Criminal Web of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. extensive reporting over decades on the topic. Ryan Goodman, our legal analyst out front of Just Security, and Tara Palmieri, who has reported extensively on Epstein and Maxwell and had many conversations, extended conversations with Virginia Giuffre. So Barry, you're here with me. You studied this case so closely. All right, I just laid out something you were talking about as you were sitting down here, that if hiring away the then 16 or 17-year-old Virginia Giuffre from the Mar-a-Lago spa was the reason for the falling out, the timeline doesn't add up. Because that was 2000 and Trump made those comments about Epstein to New York Magazine in 2002. But you say that the timeline here is even more skewed than that.
It is even more skewed, Aaron. I mean, we know that a year after the New York Magazine comment about Jeffrey being a terrific guy, that he took part in that birthday book that the Wall Street Journal pointed out. And research shows from investigative reporting from the Miami Herald that Jeffrey Epstein was actually still on the Mar-a-Lago membership logs up to 2007. Okay, so Trump was still getting money from Jeffrey Epstein up till 2007. Jeffrey Epstein was still paying for his membership at Mar-a-Lago, according to the Miami Herald. And that, of course, is a year after Jeffrey Epstein's arrest in Florida in 2006. So
if he kicked him out for being a creep,
yes,
that would have even been a year after that would have been established through a legal suit.
Correct. And there's been other explanations from Trump over the time. There was a fight over a real estate deal about a mansion that was in foreclosure that both he and Jeffrey Epstein were going after. We also heard that a Mar-a-Lago member told Trump that his daughter was questioned by Jeffrey Epstein. So there's been a variety of excuses and reasons why they had that falling out.
So Tara, you met Virginia Giuffre. You knew her as part of your reporting, and she is at the center of this. When I talk about that picture that I showed of her and Prince Andrew and Ghislaine Maxwell, anybody watching the show tonight has seen that picture before, right? And everybody knows the price that Prince Andrew has paid. He denies the allegations, but he paid a settlement and lost his royal standing. I want to play for you again, Tara, how Trump talked about Virginia Giuffre and Jeffrey Epstein today.
He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know. None whatsoever.
Of course, I'm sure that the Epstein documents would show that to be the case if he puts that out there, right? He could put that out at any point. But Tara, you met her and you talked to her. She died by suicide earlier this year, so we're not going to hear from her with all of this now back in the center stage. She died in April. What's your reaction to what he said?
I think it's disgusting. He's talking about stealing a person like they're a Rolex. I think
a minor.
She would be horrified if she was alive to hear that. And I didn't just talk with Virginia. We traveled all over the country together, reporting her story, corroborating it, because so many people have tried to discredit her for so many years since 2011, since she so bravely came out and told it. And I found her to be very credible. We made sure in our podcast, Broken Jeffrey Epstein, that it was not a single source project. And we found witnesses to help corroborate her story, which sounds so heinous, to be a sex slave for 2 years, that no one could actually believe it. And it's sad to me that in her death, she couldn't be there to say her experience with Donald Trump, which actually is not a terrible one, but that he's using her right now for political purposes. And she hoped that he would help her, actually.
With AI, almost anything is possible. But that goes for cyber criminals too. They can create.
He was a part of it. He was a part of the setup. He was the part of the setup. Hold on. Dang, I done messed it up. He was a part of the setup. They were all in cahoots together. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Trying to get back to where I was. Trump lied. Hold on. Yeah, I'm reading as I'm going. Hold on. I was trying to. Man, it's been a lot going on. Let's go here.
United States House of Representatives is saying to her series of demands, including her demand that she be given immunity in order to testify before Congress pursuant to a validly issued subpoena calling for her deposition at the Tallahassee prison on August 11th. After being granted,
Hold on.
absolutely not. Ghislaine Maxwell. That's what the United States House of Representatives is saying to her series of demands, including her demand that she be given immunity in order to testify before Congress pursuant to a validly issued subpoena calling for her deposition at the Tallahassee prison on August 11th. After being granted immunity by Donald Trump's Department of Justice in her meeting last week with Todd Blanche, the number 2 at the DOJ, and Donald Trump's former criminal defense attorney, Ghislaine Maxwell was feeling emboldened. Her lawyer, David Oscar Marcus, left feeling that he had a productive meeting with the Trump regime. They gave her that queen for a day.
Jose, who you talking to? Jose Gomez, who you talking to? Hi, Bernard. Who you talking to? Explain what you talking about, Jose Gomez. Y'all, get ready to say bye. Jose Gomez, you still in here? Explain what you trying to say. Hit the like button now. Yeah.
Immunity status, proper immunity status, so that everything that she said in that room, she couldn't be prosecuted for based on the statements made there. I mean, arguably, if the DOJ finds independent information, they could, but she's pretty insulated based on what she said at those meetings. So she left and she's like, look, Trump's dangling pardons in front of me with leaders from Europe and in Scotland. And look, Congress, you've subpoenaed me to testify on August 11th, you're going to do it on my terms, Congress. You hear? And then Congress just said, no, we're not. We're not doing it on your terms. We're the House of Representatives. We're not giving you immunity. I just did a video before about her demands, and I predicted this all, that she was going to try. I said she was either not going to testify before Congress or she was going to just try to blow it up. And she's pretending to be cooperative. So her lawyer, David Oscar Marcus, sent a letter to James Comer, who chairs the House Oversight Committee. And even Republicans like James Comer right now are kind of quartered into being like, we got to get her deposition. The American people ain't buying what Trump's selling on this. And the Democrats made some maneuvers before MAGA Mike was able to recess Congress to get that deposition of Ghislaine Maxwell. Hat tip to the Dems for being able to do that. So Ghislaine Maxwell is like, and you probably saw this in my prior video, go and watch that. Here are my conditions. You do my conditions, Congress, or I don't sit for a deposition. Huh? You're a convicted sex trafficker. What are you talking about? Go away. She goes, I want 1, a grant of formal immunity. 2, the interview will happen where I want it to happen. I will not do it at the Tallahassee Correctional Facility where I'm serving my sentence. 3, I want all of my questions in advance to prepare adequately for any deposition and to ensure the accuracy and fairness. She says, I want all questions in advances, no surprises at all, written questions only. I will answer before I arrive, or I will read my responses when I get there. And finally, the interview would be scheduled only after a resolution of the Supreme Court on her petition for certiorari, her appeal to the Supreme Court that I've been covering here on the Midas Touch network that she just filed, and her forthcoming habeas petition. Forthcoming meaning she hasn't filed it yet. She will be filing it in the Southern District of New York, and you could be damn sure some of the arguments she's going to be making is that according to the President of the United States, the entire Epstein files are a hoax, and that according to the President of the United States, Maureen Comey, the former lead prosecutor, is corrupted by the fact that her dad, according to Trump, was the one who created the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And she's going to say, I never got that information when I was being criminally prosecuted. Apparently, the president's saying the FBI and the DOJ framed me because the former head of the FBI was running a hoax on the FBI files. And whether you believe Donald Trump or don't believe Donald Trump, I deserve a new trial because that's new data that I should have. But here's the statement that was just issued from the House of Representatives regarding the subpoena that was issued. They said the following, quote, the Oversight Committee will respond to Ms. Maxwell's attorney soon, but it will not consider granting congressional immunity for her testimony. You see, Trump regime, it's as simple as that, okay? You don't give immunity to people once they're convicted of sex trafficking, serving 20-year sentences where your DOJ says the person is a liar and unreliable and has shown no remorse, and especially where it's not for the public benefit. Nobody's asked for this Ghislaine Maxwell meeting. We've asked for the files, the 300 gigabytes currently in the DOJ and FBI's custody and control. That's what we're asking for and looking for here. But what might be in those files, one may ask? Well, we had Michael Wolff on Legal AF, our sister channel, and here's what Michael Wolff, a biographer for Donald Trump and a possible biographer for Epstein, had to say. Here, play this clip.
But at any rate, at one point, after Trump had been elected, I was sitting talking to Epstein, and he said, wait a minute, I got to show you something. And then he went into his safe, and he came out with photographs. They were Polaroids, I think, and he kind of spread them out like playing cards, and it was Trump. I mean, I think there were a dozen of them, and it was Trump with girls of an uncertain age at Epstein's Palm Beach house, where all of the things that he would ultimately be accused of took place. And I remember very vividly 3 of them. There are 2 in which Trump is, the girls, topless girls, are sitting on Trump's lap. And then a 3rd in which he has a stain on the front of his pants. And the girls are kind of pointing at it, sort of bent over, laughing, covering their mouths. Yeah, exactly, and pointing. 3 or 4 girls, and those are the ones.
He had a leak.
Let's bring in Harry Litman. Harry, you were former top
federal
prosecutor. You led the Western District of Pennsylvania. DOJ, you were a top official over at Maine Justice. I want to get your reaction first to Congress saying we're not giving you immunity, Ghislaine Maxwell. Like you don't make demands to us. That was the right move, in my opinion. I want to hear from you. But then, based on your experience, what the Trump regime did when they gave her immunity.
Yeah. So it was the right move. You'd expect to remember, and this is a Republican committee. But her lawyer's quote unquote demands was just a kind of just maneuver to basically say, no, there's no way, whatever you would think about immunity, there's no way that they could give her the questions in advance. So you don't give that to any witness. And 2, there's no way a habeas corpus motion that she's about to file, could take years. So it really was her way of saying, I'm not going to do it, but I'll put on conditions so that it'll make me seem. And I think they understand that that's the case. But we have this really weird dynamic because normally, no witness could be cheeky enough to say, I'll talk to you if you give me the questions in advance and the like. But their remedy, of course, is contempt, and that requires a filing to the Department of Justice and the Department of Justice's decision. And even if it's totally meritorious because she's refusing to comply and cooperate, it'll be a political decision in what serves Donald Trump's interests, whether they would go forward. But it really is getting, at this point, such a web they weave of, and if she is there, it's going to be, they have also asked, the Senate said, we want the transcript of your communications with the deputy last week. Is there a transcript? Was he there alone? It would be crazy if there weren't. But, if he's trying to just protect Trump and that's all he's thinking about, he wants to be maybe able to keep it close. She is going to have to talk to them in one form or another. And it just in general, the effort for her, you're right. She's had a kind of a soft landing with Blanche and that 2-day meeting because they're hoping to get stuff from her, keep her, on their side. But I don't think that's how Congress is going to be, in part because I think Congress doesn't think that's how the American people are going to be. But what a weird dynamic here, because it's going to be potentially a divide, which we haven't had between what a congressional oversight committee wants to do and what the White House wants it to do, and whether the Department of Justice will greenlight a contempt, and the whole thing is just a unbelievable mess. And then of course she has to worry about, let's say they really are zeroing in on Trump. Does she lie? And and there's no immunity from perjury. So it's a precarious situation for her, and doesn't matter who asks the questions, Democrats, Republicans, and the like. So the whole thing is just an incredible mess of politics and law. But the one thing is, I'm not surprised, and it is the right thing to say, go take a hike and here's the subpoena. But we have seen people get away with various levels of resistance over the last few years. Cynthia. And if the word comes down, kind of whisper from Blanche, just don't do it and we'll take care of you. Then we'd be really in a stalemate and unlikely to learn anything.
Yeah, it seems like the whisper, by the very nature of the meeting, has already gone down. The fact that they gave her immunity, to your point, let's play it out. She invokes her Fifth Amendment rights, or she obstructs the congressional deposition. They refer to the DOJ. The DOJ says, we've found her cooperative.
Well, first they give her immunity. If she invokes her Fifth Amendment, they'll say, all right, fine, here's immunity, now talk. They would do, yeah.
And then she obstructs, and then there's a referral. She'll probably feel, I'm protected by the DOJ, and based on these demands, and knowing her lawyers is, I don't like that he represents her, but he's a criminal defense lawyer. That's what criminal defense lawyers do. He's known as being a good lawyer in the community. I would think that he's thought that piece through, and also representing his client. The more entanglements that make this deeply problematic for Trump, the better it is actually for her, in a way, because, let's say she invokes the Fifth and she isn't given immunity. Yeah. The level of backlash that then will bring on Trump, wait a minute. So she's speaking with your former criminal defense attorney and answered questions there and spoke for 10 hours, but now she's invoking with Congress. That's just past the smell test. And so now, we reported how earlier Donald Trump, when he was on Air Force One, is now admitting that he was aware that Epstein would get underage girls from Mar-a-Lago Spa. Trump said that. So Trump keeps on burying himself with this. And in many cases, I don't know if what's in the files is what Wolf is speaking about, although if a subpoena was issued at a house and stuff was in a safe, one would expect that would be swept up in any type of step. But I would be speculating, I don't know. But in many ways, the contemporaneous record that Donald Trump is currently creating him for himself by being shoulder to shoulder with Ghislaine, dangling pardons, referencing what happened in 2000 with Virginia Giuffre and how Epstein took his help to then be sex trafficked. But then Donald Trump in 2002 said Epstein's a great guy, who likes women on the younger side. At some point, this is building in a way that Trump's making every wrong move, and Ghislaine sits back and she's got the cards against the president of the United States, which is why you're compromised. It's
That's it exactly. I think that's really it, and a lot of people miss that. The worse it gets for Trump, the more powerful position Ghislaine Maxwell is in. She's the one person who could potentially save him by coming out with some kind of sanitized version of everything. It's either that or an avalanche of stuff against him. Of course, if she does, right? I mean, man, oh man, the drip of this stuff. We now have Epstein's ex-girlfriend saying thick as thieves. We have a former victim. We have Epstein's brother. This stuff, I don't know what's going to happen to it, the pictures, but that's right. You got to imagine they would still be in the estate. She might know if they're still in the estate. So it almost gets to be a desperate thing that only she can not just save him, but give him some shot at a counter narrative, and that means that they really, and she knows they really need her. Remember, his lawyer, Blanche is his lawyer, and her lawyer. They're thick as thieves, you could say. They're very good buddies, and they may be looking to her. Depending on how bad the stuff is there, and we played a different tape. Bondi saying we're going to come out with it, and all of a sudden saying never mind. I think that she had to have got the command from on high. We don't want to be coming out with this. It may be that they're really relying quite a bit on Maxwell, and they on the one hand want her to come out and say what they wanted to say. On the other hand, they can tell her they won't prosecute her for contempt, but the worse it gets for him, the more powerful she gets, although also the less credible she gets if she's so obvious, if she's A, alone, and B, so obviously looking to maneuver for some kind of deal or even
it's a strange observation that I have here, Harry, but in many ways how Donald Trump shakes down universities and media companies, where once he takes a little bit from you, then he takes more from you, and he sees that.
Yeah.
Remember, Donald Trump's crew were the Epsteins and the Ghislaines and the gangsters and people like that who he hung out with back in the day. And it's interesting to see this convicted sex trafficker kind of utilizing those tactics in a Tallahassee prison and being able to make the president of the United States bend. And as I've said, send government officials to see her and grant her immunity quicker than Trump sent FEMA to Texas to do the floods. And she realizes that she's
the deputy AG, right?
And the deputy AG, other than the AG, but in many ways, the deputy AG as the operational person is in many ways even more powerful than the AG. And it's Trump's criminal defense attorney. And she sits there, and David Oscar Marcus, her lawyer, who's, again, a good lawyer representing a horrible person, he knows exactly what he's doing. And the president is and I just think if Ghislaine Maxwell's doing this, what do you think Putin's doing? What do you think? How do you think this looks on the world stage? What do you think Iran?
Well, look, this is
he made a 360, y'all. We cannot deny that.
The Democrats have made. Look, we want a counterintelligence analysis of the risks here, because somebody has copies of those pictures. Imagine the harm they could do to the United States, right? So this is. This mess is just, the tentacles of it are growing and proliferating, right? And it's going to stay that way.
Yep, he in big trouble. Okay, so let's shift gears. Before I go, let's go here. Let's talk about Diddy. Diddy Daddy. Daddy Doo-Doo.
Press here at the Southern District of New York. Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Intercity Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Today, midday, Tuesday, July 29th, 2025. We have an update on Sean Combs, first of all, then Roman Storm. Sean Combs has applied this morning for release on bail, $50 million as he offered before, but now he's saying he was only convicted on the Mann Act counts and he should be released. This is Mark Agnifilo. The filing is in. We're assuming that the government's going to oppose it, but it hasn't been done yet, so there's that. Now, in the Roman Storm trial, as we alluded to this morning, there's a big problem. Many of the defense witnesses, I don't know, it seems that they got some calls or they checked in with the prosecutors, and the next thing you knew, they didn't testify.
Oh, you talking about Roman?
Schmidt,
So let me move.
Witness for chain analysis. In any case, that's
so
not my
he's
issue.
saying
My issue is that
they
the
probably are
transcript
going to
of July
deny it.
25th,
Okay, hold on.
It just goes sealed.
Let's go here. Let's go here. Oh, I just had it. Hold on. We ain't going nowhere. Where did it go? Where you at, Diddy? Did I delete Diddy? Girl. Hold on. I may have deleted Diddy. I can't believe I deleted Diddy. Let's hear him cry. Let's hear it.
I'm telling you, she's a bully. This isn't funny. She needs to understand.
Girl. Let's hear this.
New bid to get out of jail before his sentencing in a few months. From arguing he shouldn't be locked up for his swinger lifestyle, to highlighting the atrocious conditions at the MDC, to addressing allegations of violence, he is fighting for his life in this new letter to the judge. Could it work?
Are they trying to beat him up? I'll beat him up. I'll beat him up.
Will Sean Diddy Combs be released from jail? You know, I've asked that question before so many different times here on Sidebar.
His
but
life
we
being
have right
threatened,
now
y'all.
a brand new request from his legal team, a brand new filing from his defense team arguing for why he should be released now after that monumental verdict in his criminal case several weeks ago. The circumstances have changed. And I will tell you what. Good evening from New York. We did an interview a few weeks back that kind of previewed why and how Combs could be released. It was a bail bondsman that is apparently working with Diddy's team behind the scenes. I'm going to get to that a little bit later. But what I want to talk about right now is this latest letter from the defense to the judge overseeing this case, Judge Arun Subramanian. Remember, this comes after a jury of Combs' peers found him not guilty of racketeering conspiracy, not guilty of 2 counts of sex trafficking, but they did convict him of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. He's set to be sentenced on October 3rd. Technically, he could face up to 10 years in prison on each charge. Highly unlikely. Think maybe you might be looking at somewhere to 2 to 5 years potentially, but he could also get time served and be released, although that also seems unlikely. I'll talk about that a little bit later too. But initially, after the verdict, right after the verdict, his defense team petitioned the court that he should be released. He was just acquitted of some very serious charges. The judge denied it. The judge denied Combs bail once again. And remember, this comes after he was rejected bail multiple times since he was arrested back in September of 2024, highlighting the severity of the charges, the violence, and so forth. But now, this is different. Now, what is the defense arguing? I'm going to go over all this in the new letter. I'm going to give my take at the end about whether or not it's going to be successful and whether or not he will actually be released before sentencing in October. So, the defense begins by arguing that Sean Combs should be released in advance of sentencing, and the court has the power to do this. They have the authority, among other things, because you can clearly show, quote, that there...
I'm so tired of chasing down Excel errors every month. I get it. I used to triple check every number just to be sure.
There are exceptional reasons why such person's detention would not be appropriate. So, what are those exceptions? What are those reasons? What are those circumstances that are exceptional? They highlight several things that we're going to get into. That the charges he was convicted of, we're going to call them the Mann Act violations. That's what it's called under the law. They're not as severe, they're not as egregious as other convictions in other cases. That the sheer fact that he's locked up at the MDC, the Metropolitan Detention Center, for the past 11 months, that in and of itself is a reason for him to be released. These are all exceptional circumstances, and I'm going to get into all the arguments. But first, they highlight the standard. And they argue that to be released under federal law, you need to show two conditions. First, the district court must find by clear and convincing evidence that the person is not likely to flee or pose a danger to the safety of any other person or the community if released. Second, it must be clearly shown that there are exceptional reasons why such person's detention would not be appropriate. Now, clear and convincing evidence is a lower standard. By the way, it's not like beyond a reasonable doubt. Anyway, basically, you have to show he's not a flight risk, he's not a danger, and you have to show there are particular, exceptional, unique reasons for why detaining Combs is wrong. We're going to start with the exceptional reasons justifying his release. And they begin by trying to define, well, what exactly is exceptional circumstances? What does that mean? And they argue that case law suggests a court has a lot of discretion to determine whether a particular set of circumstances qualifies as exceptions. And they say, look, Sean Combs, his case, so different from other ones. There has never been, according to them, a Mann Act prosecution like this one before. And this is how they lay it out. Quote, there has literally never been a case like this one, where a person and his girlfriend arrange for adult men to have consensual sexual relations with the adult long-term girlfriend as part of a demonstrated swingers lifestyle and has been prosecuted and incarcerated under the Mann Act. Combs and two of his longtime girlfriends had a private, intimate life that is not uncommon today. They're talking about Jane and Cassie Ventura. Quote, it may not have been common on June 25th, 1910, when the Mann Act, or as it was originally called, the White Slave Traffic Act, was passed, but attitudes about sex and morality have come a long way in the last 115 years. It is worth noting that when the Mann Act was passed to protect the morals and decency of America's women were not allowed to vote. As noted below, perhaps due to the troubling background of this statute, whose history is rich with both racism and misogyny, the Department of Justice has limited its application to those people profiting financially from the business of prostitution and not using it to prosecute consensual adults for their own lifestyles. By the way, we covered this on a previous sidebar. The defense made an argument months ago to have these charges thrown out, called it basically racially motivated, that it was strange that it was being used against a successful black man. That argument didn't work. He was ultimately prosecuted and he was convicted on those charges. Hey everybody, real quick, this is another law and crime legal alert. Did you know that children are being diagnosed with serious conditions like type 2 diabetes and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease? And the reason about its complications, its bouts of jealousy, and Jane chose. When they all suggested to Mr. Combs that they called them to join her and Mr. Combs. Both Jane testified that she contacted Combs, including what they called Freakoffs. Jane and Sean Combs had threesomes too. When Jane and Combs, they continue. Cassie Ventura and Sean Combs went to swingers clubs and they had threesomes. Miss Ventura consistently expressed interest and enthusiasm in her intimate life with Combs, including what they called Freakoffs. Jane and Sean Combs had threesomes too. When Jane and Combs watched pornography together, Jane testified that she contacted two different porn stars and invited them to join her and Mr. Combs. Both Miss Ventura and Jane testified that very often they would see the same men over and over again for years. In July of 2024,
why is he repeating all this over? What does this have to do with him being
Jane
scared?
Explained that she told Combs she, quote, missed Paul. When asked why she said that, she responded, because I did. This was a lifestyle, one that both Miss Ventura and Jane chose, one they all, as grown adults, had a right to choose. Like many aspects of sex and intimacy, it was not without its complications, its bouts of jealousy, and at times, its frustrations. But that is a hallmark of any serious romantic relationship, and that is what these were, serious, long-term romantic relationships. By the way, not surprising they're really focusing on this because, again, he was acquitted of sex trafficking. They highlight how the jury didn't find sex trafficking of Jane or Cassie, that it didn't occur. There was no force, fraud, or coercion that was used to induce these women to engage in commercial sex acts. For transportation to engage in prostitution, what he was convicted of, the prosecution didn't have to prove that violence was used, or that fraud was used, or threats were used. It was just, did you transport these women and men for the purposes of sex work, commercial sex acts? And obviously the jury convicted him of that. And they highlight all the jury found was that there was prostitution, payment of porn stars and escorts. And they highlight that he is a swinger or under the Mann Act, a John. And they argue he doesn't deserve to be locked up for this. Quote, Sean Combs should not be in jail for this conduct. In fact, he may be the only person currently in a United States jail for being any sort of John, and certainly the only person in jail for hiring adult male escorts for him and his girlfriend when he did not even have sex with the escort himself. Over the last 75 years, the White Slave Traffic Act has been limited to defendants who cause interstate travel for financial gain through the business of prostitution. That Sean Combs remains in jail for being convicted of being a customer of consensual adult sex services makes this case truly exceptional. Not only is prosecuting the users of adult prostitution services inconsistent with the Mann Act, it's inconsistent with the prosecution policies of the district attorneys
That's
of Manhattan
because
and
the jury was rigged, and they did not acknowledge those two things that he found guilty of.
In addition,
in
Mr.
the
Combs is incarcerated while
racketeering.
everyone else involved in this identical conduct, his girlfriends, the cowboys, the agency leaders, the porn stars, and others, walk free, as they should. If there was ever a fact pattern that was exceptional under the Mann Act, it is this one. And then they move on to another argument, that the Department of Justice, the DOJ, has usually only charged Mann Act violations when there's financial gain. And they even cite a number of cases in the Southern District of New York, where Combs was prosecuted, that apparently involved defendants that set up a prostitution business for profit. Again, trying to distinguish between Combs' conduct and these cases. He never did any of this for profit, they argued. And they even cite the 1953 U.S. Attorney's Manual that says, quote, as a general rule, prosecution should not be instituted in the so-called non-commercial cases. And they claim the Department of Justice manual today, quote, makes clear that the prosecution of customers involved in an 18 U.S.C. 2421 offense, like Mr. Combs here, is now limited to prosecuting those who engage in commercial sex with victims of sex trafficking, in addition to those who otherwise perpetrate or facilitate human trafficking offenses. And in the absence of any sex trafficking charge, however, it is clear that the standalone Mann Act counts never would have been prosecuted. That seems true. I think you ask any legal expert, they will say if all the government had against Sean Combs was the transportation to engage in prostitution charges, just the prostitution charges, they probably wouldn't have gone after him. They coupled it with racketeering and they coupled it with sex trafficking. I agree with that. I don't think that they would have gone after him just for that. Anyway, the defense highlights how modern day prosecutions of Johns is really when you're talking about exploiting vulnerable foreigners who don't speak English well, which again is not the case here. And they highlight how the only potentially comparable case in New York is where you had a retired police officer and a former judge who apparently hired women to have sex with a male fraternal group called the Jesters. But Combs' attorneys say, while there was no profit there, there's no profit here, there was sex trafficking of those prostitutes. That's what's different. Again, Combs was acquitted of sex trafficking in this case. And here's the main point, quote, moreover, the cases which involve defendants similarly situated to Mr. Combs have been released on bond pending sentencing. In reviewing the cases across the country where the primary or sole conviction was for a violation of 18 U.S.C. 2421, the defendants who were not charged with running a prostitution business have been released pending sentencing. And then Combs' attorneys make another argument for why Combs' conditions are exceptional. And it's about him being locked up at the MDC. They say that a district court judge in the Southern District, in another case, basically said how bad the MDC is.
So,
as Judge Furman noted, the state of affairs
pissing in
at
people's
MDC
mouths is bad.
Unacceptable. In so noting, Judge Furman concluded that the conditions in the MDC qualify as exceptional reasons under the statute justifying, and this was the defendant in this case, Chavez's continuing release. Judge Furman found that the conditions at the MDC are, quote, dreadful in many respects, but three warrant particular emphasis. 1. Continued reports of inordinate periods of lockdown. 2. Claims that the facility provides inadequate and or substantially delayed necessary medical care, a particular risk in this case. And 3. General issues about the conditions at the facility. These conditions have not abated in Mr. Combs' detention at the facility. As the court is aware, during Mr. Combs' incarceration at the MDC, the facility was subject to an interagency sweep that was designed to achieve our shared goal of maintaining a safe environment for both our employees and the incarcerated individuals housed at MDC Brooklyn. They're actually quoting what the rationale was. In other words, there is a significant issue at the MDC related to the safety of employees and incarcerated individuals that require outside law enforcement action from multiple agencies to address. Importantly, MDC, as a jail, has a significant law enforcement presence within its walls 24 hours per day that are equipped with investigatory and often unregulated authority. Thus, the requirement of outside law enforcement agencies to ensure safety within the MDC is an admission that serious violence, mayhem, and chaos is occurring within the MDC that requires more than a Band-Aid raid, but rather surgery. Indeed, we are aware of ongoing threats of violence and actual violence in the facility such that Mr. Combs' safety is constantly at risk. And they go on to argue, though Mr. Combs has been a model inmate for his nearly year-long period of confinement, the violent conditions are still very much a concern for Mr. Combs and is an unnecessary confinement risk given the clear precedent of multiple similarly situated Mann Act convictions where defendants were released on conditions. Now, the government, by the way, would probably disagree with that statement of him being a model inmate. Remember when they accused Combs of trying to arrange three-way phone calls and buying the use of other inmates' phone privileges to try to make sure the government wasn't listening in, that he was having these private conversations, that he was allegedly trying to contact witnesses in the case, that he allegedly orchestrated a birthday campaign to help his public image while he was locked up. So if we hear a government response, I'm sure they're going to say something about that. Then, the defense highlights, he's not a risk of flight, he's not a danger to the community, which, by the way, I think are real key points here. But they seem to echo a lot of the same arguments that they have already stated to the court. And remember, they haven't been successful in the past. That he voluntarily came to New York last year to surrender himself to authorities, that he gave up his passport to his attorneys 6 months before his arrest, paid off his mortgage on his Miami home so it was free and clear for him to stay at while out on bond. He was just acquitted of the most serious charges that he was facing, which, by the way, carried decades, if not life in prison, that he's not a risk of flight. That's the basic argument. Now, when it comes to the danger argument, that is Kate. Why? Judge Subramanian had said after the verdict that the reason he was denying bail was because of Combs' violence, that his own attorneys admitted he was violent during the course of the trial.
Yeah, don't have nothing to do with all that other stuff.
Argue about that. Quote, the court noted that the defense admitted a history of domestic violence as to Miss Ventura and that he struck Jane twice in June 2024. However, we strenuously was facing, which, by the way, carried decades, if not life in prison, that he's not a risk of flight. That's the basic argument. Now, when it comes to the danger argument, that is Kate. Why? Judge Subramanian had said after the verdict that the reason he was denying bail was because of Combs' violence, that his own attorneys admitted he was violent.
He's a violent
during the course of the trial. Well, here is what Combs' defense attorneys argue about that. Quote, the court noted that the defense admitted a history of domestic violence as to Miss Ventura and that he struck Jane twice in June 2024. However, we strenuously object that Mr. Combs poses a danger to the community, aside from a single instance on June 18, 2024, where Mr. Combs was provoked by Jane through her own acts of violence. There was no evidence of any acts of violence in the last 7 years. Indeed, the jury notably rejected the government's argument that the June 2024 incident constituted coercion when it acquitted Mr. Combs of the sex trafficking charge. Also, prior to his arrest in this case, Mr. Combs enrolled in a domestic violence program in which he participated until he was arrested and incarcerated in connection with this case. If released on conditions, Sean Combs will not be violent to anyone. As we said in court, this jury gave him his life back, and he will not squander his second chance at life, nor would he do anything to further jeopardize his 7 children not having a father and 4 of his children not having a parent at all. The court can fashion any set of conditions, and Mr. Combs will abide by any condition to make the court comfortable that Mr. Combs will not be violent toward any person. And that is when they propose the following bail package. That Combs will sign a $50 million bond secured by his home in Miami, that the bond will be co-signed by 3 financially responsible people, that Combs will reside in his home in Miami, that his travel will be limited to the Southern District of Florida, the Southern District of New York for attorney meetings, as well as airports that are necessary to travel between the two, that he will be placed under the express supervision of the U.S. Pretrial Services Agency, that he will report to that agency as directed, that his passport will be surrendered to pretrial services, that he shall not apply for any other passport, and they even highlight that the court can add other conditions too. Home detention, private security approved by the court, mental health treatment. He'll agree to it all. Now, let me tell you, we
What
kind
about
of
the victims' comfort?
that
Exactly.
this all would happen, this argument would happen, this new bail package would be presented. When we spoke a few weeks ago to renowned bail bondsmen, to the celebrities, by the way, to the stars, Ira Judelson,
I remember
who
that.
apparently had been working with Combs' team behind the scenes on working to secure his release. Here's what he said about a new package after the verdict.
When Mark reached out to me afterwards, we started thinking about putting another bail package together.
And what is that bail package that's... And by the way, is this a bail package that you think could be submitted again, even after the judge just denied bail?
Well, the judge denied bail based on the statute, and the statute stated a certain amount of information that part of the Mann Act that, was not eligible for bail. There are certain circumstances that can be done. We're going to regroup again. I know that they were going to go talk to Mr. Combs again and see what happens there. They have the October 3rd date. I don't know where he stood. As of the other day, he wanted to get out. I don't think anybody wants to be at MDC where he is. We're going to reconvene and see what happens, at a later date. We could go back with another package.
Okay, so with all that in mind, and again, at the time of this recording, I don't see the government's response to this, but here's my take. Now, Combs is obviously in a better position to argue for release now than he was in the past. I thought that after his acquittal, this change in circumstances, that he could be released. The Mann Act convictions alone, given the facts presented in court, I think the defense made a compelling argument that he should be released, not facing as serious charges that would have justified, a concern of a risk of flight, private security approved by the court, mental health treatment. He'll agree to it all. Now, let me tell you, we kind of previewed that this all would happen, this argument would happen, this new bail package would be presented when we spoke a few weeks ago to renowned bail bondsmen, to the celebrities, by the way, to the stars, Ira Judelson, who apparently had been working with Combs' team behind the scenes on working to secure his release. Here's what he said about a new package after the verdict.
When Mark reached out to me afterwards, we started thinking about putting another bail package together.
And what is that bail package that's... And by the way, is this a bail package that you think could be submitted again, even after the judge just denied bail?
Well, the judge denied bail based on the statute, and the statute stated a certain amount of information that part of the Mann Act that, was not eligible for bail. There are certain circumstances that can be done. We're going to regroup again. I know that they were going to go talk to, Mr. Combs again and see what happens there. They have the October 3rd date. I don't know where he stood. As of the other day, he wanted to get out. I don't think anybody wants to be at MDC where he is. We're going to reconvene and see what happens, at a later date. We could go back with another package.
Okay, so with all that in mind, and again, at the time of this recording, I don't see the government's response to this, but here's my take. Now, Combs is obviously in a better position to argue for release now than he was in the past. I thought that after his acquittal, this change in circumstances, that he could be released. The Mann Act convictions alone, given the facts presented in court, I think the defense made a compelling argument that he should be released, not facing as serious charges that would have justified, a concern of a risk of flight. He's no longer charged with the violence of racketeering and sex trafficking. But remember, the judge was very persuaded by the violence aspect that was a part of this case. The judge has latitude, discretion here when it comes to bail and bail conditions. And he received letters immediately after the verdict opposing bail. And I think a lot of the defense's arguments are compelling, particularly citing case law about other people who were released. But the judge could be persuaded that these were multiple violations of the Mann Act with respect to both Jane and Cassie. These weren't isolated incidents. Multiple men, multiple payments, multiple dates, multiple transportation, the
multiple
violence,
beatings,
the drugs, those factors in the case may not necessarily have to be separated from the bail analysis, despite the fact that they weren't really required elements of the charges that he was convicted of. And you can make the argument, sure, he was acquitted of sex trafficking of Jane and Cassie. The jury might say he didn't use force, fraud, or coercion to induce them into commercial sex acts, but violence still may have occurred. The judge
absolutely
might be persuaded by that. And
well,
I
we
don't
know
think
he
at
was
this
persuaded
point,
by
my
that.
personal opinion, I don't see the judge changing his tune. I don't see him being persuaded by these arguments. But look, for Sean Combs, obviously he wants some sort of release from jail before sentencing, because while the judge could technically sentence him to time served or 20 years, both seem highly unlikely, it seems that he would be sentenced to some additional time in prison. And obviously Sean Combs wants some time out of prison, some time out of detention before he's ultimately sentenced. Now, we'll see what the judge does.
He was out the whole time.
The judge might be persuaded by that. And I don't think at this point, my personal opinion, I don't see the judge changing his tune. I don't see him being persuaded by these arguments. But look, for Sean Combs, obviously he wants some sort of release from jail before sentencing, because while the judge could technically sentence him to time served or 20 years, both seem highly unlikely, it seems that he would be sentenced to some additional time in prison. And obviously Sean Combs wants some time out of prison, some time out of detention before he's ultimately sentenced. Now, we'll see what the judge does.
So he can have another freak out.
We'll wait and see. That's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
He said he need another freak out before he go to
Jesse
prison.
Weber. Speak to you next time.
Can I have one more freak out before I go? Okay, y'all. Y'all had a hard time hitting the like button. I'm going to go ahead and end it. I'm going to go ahead and end it for you. Unless y'all can come on and give me 10 more likes. If not, I got to go. You know what I mean? Y'all ain't going to handle me the way Trump was handling folks, just slinging them all around. You know what I mean? What else is going on? Y'all hit the like button. Come on. There's a lot going on. She issued an ultimatum. I wanted to hear what old girl had to say. What Jesus Tells had to say.
80, 740 in less than 3 months?
So you need to raise your
price. Y'all, I need 10 like buttons. 10 likes. Come on.
Oh my God, you guys, come in, sit down, and shut the door. People are saying that Diddy is so sad in jail because he realizes his little comeback isn't going to be as easy as he thought it would be. Baby Mark Agnifilio might have convinced the jury, but he has yet to convince the world. On top of that, Diddy is looking at what is happening with Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell, and also what is happening with LeBron James. And Diddy, for the first time in his life, feels some type of way. Y'all, let's get into this. Where are we going to start at? First of all,
I wasn't going to talk about LeBron.
Yeah, I got one thing to say about Diddy right now. Do you know he tweeted something? He tweeted some emojis. Y'all, listen. All I gotta say is, guards, he got his phone again. No, all jokes aside, right? I don't know what type of plan, what type of Wi-Fi plan the federal government is offering these days. But Diddy is out here tweeting emojis. Now, I know what you're saying. Why didn't he put it on Instagram? For 2 reasons. One, he only has access to email. And I'm sure why he's trying to log in, talking about something. No, you don't understand. I just want to say I love you to my baby. Gaga goo goo baby love. He logged into his Twitter, and this fool tweeted some eye emojis. Yes.
Gaga goo goo.
Emojis. And the thing is, people are saying that Diddy is actually really upset because he thought this was going to break the internet. He thought everybody was going to be talking about it. Now, you know I stay on Diddy's neck, so of course I was going to talk about it. But baby, they're saying that those tweets only got 122,000 views. His PR people then paid to have it put in Hollywood Unlocked. What do you call it? Using all their connections, Hollywood Unlocked, TMZ, all this stuff. At least that's what the streets are saying. And guess what? It still flopped. They said for the first time, Diddy sees that this comeback isn't going to be as easy as he thought. Listen.
Nope.
But
He's got that name on that
let's
list.
be real. Diddy is in Twitter in jail. Because while the rest of us thought he was in there reflecting on his sins, meditating on healing, maybe even journaling about redemption so he could make some book. He'll be like, Kim doesn't have a book, but I do, right? This man is out here tweeting eye emojis like he's teasing features on albums are being coy. Sir, you're not supposed to be doing PR. You're supposed to be doing repentance. Remember, you enrolled in a program not just for DV abusers, but for predators and SA assaulters.
He needs to
Yeah,
register.
they forgot to tell you about that one. But instead of staying low and keeping him quiet while your legal team fights for your freedom, you're in your cell giving us eye emojis like it's a rollout. And baby, the funniest part is Diddy doesn't even have access to his lawyers. At least that's what he's been screaming since he got arrested. But somehow he's got access to Twitter, no legal statement, no apology. Well, I wouldn't give an apology either because you saw how that one went over. But he can post cryptic emojis. Please, Diddy, how does this make any type of sense? Because when I tell you this tweet gave nothing but chaos, confusion, and baby, a heavy sprinkle of broken dreams and shattered delusions. Baby, Diddy wanted to wake the timeline up. Instead, his timeline literally stayed asleep. It wasn't the way he hoped. Yo, let's get into this because honestly, when it comes to the whole Diddy thing, I am still flabbergasted that he even tweeted. I'm flabbergasted that he tweeted. Because why, sir?
He knows, Ghislaine.
The official Twitter account posted eye emojis on July 25th at 8:36 p.m. It was quickly deleted. That's right. Ooh, get the girls talking. Wake up. It was probably deleted because the guards were coming in. They probably got Google notifications on everything that mofo do. It came in like, yo, just because Maureen Comey's gone don't mean that you don't have to abide by the rules, okay? It hit 122K views. Again, they tried to make that screenshot go viral. Now, when I first saw this, I said, why is Christian playing on his daddy's account? Because you know he will always be the one to push in front and be a soldier for his daddy, right? Again, why is Christian playing on his dad's Twitter? That's what I first thought. But again, then I started thinking maybe it was Diddy. And that tweet was deliberate to signal something. Now, again, some people say that he might have been teasing, okay? Some people said that he might have been teasing that he has a big collab coming out. Some people said he was doing a conspiracy tease, like he was implying that he knows the things that could bring others down. Okay, well, sir, if that's it, then just say it. Like, stop playing these games. You don't know nothing. Right? And for anybody to think, listen, at the end of the day, why did he screaming racism that Ghislaine Maxwell is getting out? Because let's not forget, she wasn't convicted for being Diddy's girlfriend. I'm not Diddy, Epstein's girlfriend. She was convicted for grooming the girls, bedding the girls, and once they passed her test of making love to her, literally passing them to Epstein and becoming a mother figure before the grooming. Anyway. You already know that. We'll do another video about that, okay? But again, if you know something, say something. Now, Christian tweeted that, and that's if Christian tweeted that, it's still wild. Because why are y'all playing PR games when your dad's facing federal heat? And some people said it might be manipulation 101, tweeting eyes while silent on actual accusations is a tactic. Redirect, parole, bait, speculation. But baby, that does not work when the room is empty. And this is what Diddy is melting down about. Because here's the thing. Everybody says Diddy wants his freedom, and I'm sure he does. But he wanted his freedom because he thought he was going to come back and be Puff, Diddy, this and that. And everybody is literally distancing themselves away from him. Again, Diddy needs to read the room. Bro, you're facing serious criminal exposure, including under the Mann Act. This is not the time to be dropping cryptic promo. Especially with the headlines about Ghislaine Maxwell possibly getting out. I think she is going to get out. And Trump floating conspiracy. Timing is tone deaf at best. Now, here's the one thing. Let's get into Diddy's shattered dreams and the way LeBron helped shatter them.
Let's go.
Because I've always said this. Diddy's isolation versus real power moves. Now, y'all know these dusty in heart, mind, spirit, soul, right? Have been screaming, free Diddy, yeah, Diddy out. And guess what? And what y'all got from it? What y'all got from it? What y'all got from it? Did he pick you? Did he choose you? Did you get a new pair of shoes? Did you get a new hat? Did you get new grills? What you get from it, right? But they're out there, and the dusty, dumb women that are siding with them. They're yelling, free Diddy. But here's the thing, Diddy don't care about none of y'all. He never did. Y'all are still irrelevant. But the rich people, the powerful people, the people he wants to be by, the people he stakes everything with, they are quiet.
Right.
These random folks might be screaming free Puff, free Diddy, but the real movers and shakers with
I need 5 likes, y'all.
money, and brands to protect are backing away quietly but very clearly. LeBron James has set a clear boundary. His legal team issued a cease and desist over AI videos associating him with Diddy. Now, baby, and I get it. These videos show thumbnails of LeBron being pregnant and hanging out with Diddy. Baby, and I get it. But baby, this is a hardline move. Not a we'll see, not a I support from afar. Just, baby, no association, period. Keep my name out of your mouth. It shows LeBron understands the stakes. He's not risking his image, his family, or his endorsements, or even his integrity for this.
Yeah, because he was at the party.
Now, Diddy can tweet eye emojis all he wants, but everyone that he cares about, that matters to him, is looking away. That tweet was supposed to make people watch him.
If you are sleeping in a position like this, you are wrecking your body and your breathing. Obstructive sleep apnea happens when your upper airway repeatedly becomes blocked during sleep, reducing the oxygen intake needed to restore.
Instead, the industry's giving Diddy the Squidward side eye. They literally was like, y'all hear something? Not who's watching, but is somebody gonna take his phone call? The silence from his A-list friends is louder than any emoji. Now, again, maybe Diddy thought he was sending a signal, but no one's buying it. He might believe he's teasing a big comeback, or that he has some type of leverage. But when even the powerful are creating distance, it's not a comeback, it's a quiet cancellations. And that's what everybody doesn't get. That's what all these disgusting Diddy supporters don't get. Diddy don't want to be your friend. Diddy don't want your support. You don't even know you're alive. You are the people that he would literally have his goons go beat up and throw out of the club because you weren't fit to breathe the air. Diddy was not a man of the people. He never pretended to be. He kept his guest list tight. The girls that were invited, baby, they look like models, and not just any models, but the top of the top line of models. So all these broken in the head women going, oh, ain't nothing wrong. You really think you're going to get what? What, is he going to choose you? You're going to be invited to a party? He going to give you, what's he going to give you? He ain't going to want you around in the beginning. middle, and he damn sure don't want you around in the end. I'm being serious. Diddy was never accused of being the man of the people. He was always very exclusive. You had to be the best dressed, the prettiest, the most in shape, the prettiest, the youngest. You had to be the best of the best to get into his parties. Same with the men. You had to have hype, style, charisma, or have fame that transcended to actually get into these parties. People
Every
are
dog
saying
had their
Diddy
day.
is
You right.
disgusted by the people that are supporting him. And he can't wait to get ahead of that. Which, let me just get into this too, because it boggles my mind the way the people that are supporting him are broke and sad, right? And when I say broke, I mean spiritually broke, mentally broke, and yes, some broke in the bank account. But that doesn't, who cares about that? Because, you know, we all been broke sometime, right? But
Okay, y'all, listen. Why are y'all not hitting the like button? That show is a bad hat. Ooh, that's a bad cowboy hat. Y'all, okay, so before I go, some have to, so y'all not gonna hit the like button? Or y'all not gonna hit the like button? So y'all gonna make me, y'all, I need 5 likes. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Double tap my nose. Please. So before I go, since y'all gonna make me go, y'all gonna make me leave up in here. I don't even remember what's in my title, but why they sealing stuff for Quet on the YOUNGDOLPH murder? Why he getting some sealed documents, y'all? What him hiding? What he need hit? Look at old Diddy. He said, ain't nobody ever stayed in this old nasty rat infested jail for for hires. I bet you won't hire no more. But yeah, you will. You get right on out and hire him again. Yeah. Y'all thought it was funny. Y'all thought it was cool to blame the women. You thought you was gonna walk and talk and laugh about it. You gonna learn today. You gonna learn today. Y'all not gonna hit the like button?
Want to try
I'm gonna
tirzepatide?
leave on this note.
So
Dog.
this is tirzepatide,
Quit.
and it is the
His
number
documents are
one weight loss
still. Why?
medication.
What?
The man accused of being the mastermind behind Memphis
What
rapper
he gotta
YoungDOLPH's
tell?
murder is heading back.
What's in them
Accused of
documents?
being the
What's in them documents? What's in them documents? What did you present to get it sealed? Now, it did say sealed until further notice. Why
mastermind
you
behind Memphis
acting
rapper
like?
YoungDOLPH's murder is heading back before a judge tomorrow, but the public will not get to know what's going on in court. Our cameras capture Hernandez Govan
2
today
days in a
outside
row
of the
you wore a
courtroom.
tie? 2 days in a row you wore a button down with a tie? What? What? That lady been telling you for how long you wasn't taking her court serious? Just do it. Fly jock, you know, all that crazy stuff. The press will hand him once he's out, so shush.
Not get to know what's going on in court for a judge tomorrow, but the public will not get to know what's going on in court. Our cameras capture Hernandez Govan today outside of the
Justice T.
courtroom. The judge
You
sealed
done.
until
Judge is
further
not playing
notice
with him.
all pretrial motions. State's response.
Quit is this part. Whatever motion this is was sealed.
And court
What is quit hiding?
rulings on those motions. Prosecutors say Govan orchestrated the shooting that killed YoungDOLPH.
Now they trying to say
Outside Makita's
he wasn't a mastermind. It's sealed. Until further notice.
Cookies on Airways Boulevard in November of 2021.
What he need is seal for.
On in court, our cameras captured Hernandez Govan today outside of the courtroom. The judge sealed until further notice all pretrial motions, states' responses, and court rulings on those motions. Prosecutors say Govan orchestrated the shooting.
Y'all not gonna tap double tap the screen.
Outside Makita's Cookies on Airways Boulevard in November of 2021.